told you before, in the world of show business, there's truly no friends. You're in and then you're out. And it sounds awful to say this, but it truly is the game. You might say, well, it's the same in any business, Neil, and it's true, whether you work for a big retailer like Marks and Spencer's or Macy's, you can be at the top, suddenly the sales drop, then you're out. But in show business, it's a lot more brutal. And nobody knows this more of recent times than the chat show host, daytime queen, sometime comedian Ellen DeGeneres, sometime pal, of course, of Meghan and Harry. Now, apparently she's gearing up to go back out and do some live stand-up gigs, plus a television special for Netflix. However, it's going to be interesting to see whether she sticks to the plot or indeed will include the background stories to the Harry and Meghan visits. Apparently, well, she could be forced into it. As ever, let me explain. Hi, good to see you today. You all right? Yes, thank you so much. We'll have another wave. Yeah, people looking at you thinking you're nuts, Neil. Doesn't matter, does it? Just you and I. Well, it's fine. I know I'm all right about it. You all right? We'll have another then. It's good to be daft, isn't it? Yes, absolutely. By the way, I must share this with you. It did make me laugh, actually. Do you remember when that Pengate thing with His Majesty the King and Queen Camilla, where he chucked the pen because it was leaking and everything like that? And I told you that Major Johnny, gorgeous Johnny, yes, who's now got a backseat role, he confirmed all the story about how people were, shall we say, and I mean this nicely, trying to sustain a few laughters, because obviously the king was very annoyed, and it was a bit embarrassing, let's be honest, at that situation. What got interesting though was, and I think this is fascinating, the royal warrant was still issued to the pen maker that got the leaky pen. So clearly he wasn't that angry, was he? Yeah, it's good to know, isn't it? You see, we all lose our temper in the moment, and then of course reflection, you think, well, they are quite good pens, if you can afford them, of course. Back as ever to your royal story of the day. This is interesting actually, because Ellen DeGeneres was effectively cancelled from her own daytime TV show. This was the one where she was supposed to be kind and all that sort of stuff. And many people will remember, I met Ellen DeGeneres at Wimbledon, rude, disinterested and ignoring fans. That was my memory of Ellen DeGeneres. Polite to me because obviously what we were doing, but I saw the other side and I thought she was very much a miserable person, yeah, so you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting now that she's going back to the stand-up world, and it's all going to be based about her being cancelled. But for the sort of recording for the television special, which I hear is going to be for Netflix, the home of Harry and Meghan, they're saying they want some content about this. Now here's where it gets interesting. When Meghan appeared on Ellen's show, if you remember, she came up with this elongated story about how they'd first met because she was buying a rescue dog at this rescue centre. Ellen said she should buy it. Ellen denied the story, had no idea, no recollection of meeting Meghan at all. They want her version of that. What did she think to Meghan telling this story live on her show, and then basically she had no idea about it? Also, Ellen wanted to touch on the subject of what the visit was like for the sort of quasi-royal, as it were. She turned up with her own cavalcade of cars, security, checking it out the day before, which dressing room, where would she be walking, all the usual paraphernalia associated with A-list stars. Ellen, I am told, and as ever we have to say allegedly, is a little bit nervous on what she can reveal. But then apparently the pendulum has swung and they say, well, this is what we want and this is what could make it a hit. And as I've told you before at the start of this particular broadcast, there are no friends in show business. So if Ellen doesn't cough up the background secrets to what went on, say, for instance, when Meghan was crouching, pretending to be a cat and licking milk and all that sort of stuff, or crunching biscuits, well, then it's kind of a no dice. And for Meghan and Harry, that once again is another person they could score up to say, perhaps they're not a friend after all. But as I said, in show business, Ellen needs a comeback. Meghan and Harry could be the route to that. And would she really care if they're suddenly not friends anymore? I mean, how many friends are actually friends in the world of Hollywood? As Ellen very eloquently pointed out, she was dumped and the phone stopped ringing. Could that now be the same from Harry and Meghan? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.